Beloved, I see the weight pressing on your heart, the silent conversations you replay in your mind, the moments where you stand still hoping time will somehow make the choice for you. But I must tell you with all the love of a father who only desires your freedom that this hesitation, this fear to step forward, is the very chain keeping you bound in a place I never intended you to remain. And I know you've convinced yourself that waiting is wisdom, that delay is safer than movement, but I am speaking now because the future I've prepared for you is crying out, waiting on the other side of the decision you've been avoiding. And child, do you not see how the enemy has whispered lies into your ears, convincing you that you are not ready, that you are not strong enough, that if you take this step you might lose what little stability you have left? But I, the Lord your God, am telling you this hesitation is not caution. It is captivity disguised as comfort, and every moment you choose silence over obedience, the blessing I've stored up for you remains locked behind a door that only you can open with your yes, because I will not force you. I will not override the free will I placed within you, but I will keep sending signs, confirmations, even disruptions if I must, to stir your spirit awake to the reality that you are being called higher. And this decision, though terrifying to your flesh, is the key to unlocking the next chapter of your life. And beloved, I know you think letting go means losing everything. But what you don't see is that holding on to what I have asked you to release is what's slowly draining you, what's keeping your spirit heavy and your joy fleeting, and you have cried out for clarity, for breakthrough, for the peace that passes understanding. But how can I pour new wine into old wineskins? How can I plant new blessings in soil that refuses to be tilled? How can I lead you into rooms you've been praying for when your hands are still clinging tightly to doors I've already closed? And yes, I know that decision feels monumental because it touches relationships you've cherished, plans you've built your identity around, comfort zones you've wrapped yourself in like armor. But child, obedience was never meant to be comfortable. It was meant to be transformational. And this is the hour where I am asking you to choose me over them, my will over your fears, my purpose over your preference, because I can see what you cannot. I can see the traps that lie ahead if you stay here too long. I can see the blessings that are waiting if you dare to trust me with what feels like a loss. And I promise you this, your obedience will never return void. Your surrender will never leave you empty. For what I have in my hand is infinitely greater than what you're clenching in yours. But I need you to make the move, to say yes even when it makes no sense, to trust that I will meet you on the waters as you step out of the boat. And I know that fear is loud, that the what-ifs scream in your ears at night. But I am louder, I am stronger, I am faithful, and I am the same God who carried you through storms you thought would destroy you. So believe me when I say this next step will not destroy you either. It will deliver you. And if only you could see the angels positioned on the road ahead, the divine connections I've aligned, the favor that is already written into your days once you move, you would not hesitate another moment. And child, this is why the enemy has fought so hard to paralyze you with indecision, because he knows what I know, that your yes will break chains, that your obedience will unleash a domino effect of miracles not only for you, but for everyone connected to your life. And he is terrified of what happens when you finally choose me fully. So I'm speaking now, clear and direct. That decision you keep postponing, that choice you keep avoiding because of fear, is holding your future hostage. But I have not called you to live bound. I have called you to freedom. And freedom requires movement. It requires trust. It requires courage to step into what you cannot yet see. And I am not angry at your delay. I am not disappointed in your wrestling. I understand the weight of this crossroads, but I love you too much to leave you here. So I'm stirring your spirit. I am placing an urgency in your heart because the time for waiting has expired and the time for stepping has come. I say to you now, The door is open, the way is prepared, the provision is already waiting, but the choice is yours. Will you let fear dictate your future, or will you trust the one who holds your future in his hands? Beloved child, as I continue to speak to the deepest places of your heart, I want you to understand that the struggle you face in making this decision is more than just hesitation. It is a spiritual battlefield, a war for your destiny, and I am right there with you, fighting on your behalf. But you must remember that victory requires action, not passivity. Every moment spent wavering in doubt only gives the enemy more time to strengthen his grip on your mind, planting seeds of fear, confusion, and despair that cloud your vision and mute the still, small voice of my guidance. And though you feel alone in this, know that legions of angels surround you, assigned to lead, guard, and strengthen you as you step forward in faith. Yet I cannot do the choosing for you. I have laid before you paths of life and death, blessing and curse, and only you can take that step toward the path that leads to abundant life. And I hear the cries of your soul, longing for peace, longing for clarity, longing to be free from the prison your own fear has built around you. But remember that every story of triumph in my word began with a choice, sometimes difficult, sometimes costly, yet always necessary to unlock the blessing hidden behind the door of obedience. And I know you have rehearsed your reasons for delay. I'm not ready. I'm too broken. What if I fail? But I am reminding you now that my grace is sufficient. My power is made perfect in weakness. And what you perceive as brokenness is often the very soil in which I plant seeds of resurrection. So do not underestimate the power of my strength working through your weakness. And I want you to see that this decision is not about perfection. It's about faithfulness. It's about responding to my call even when the full picture is not clear. Because the greatest moves of faith in history were taken without sight of the outcome, but with eyes fixed on me, the author and finisher of your faith. And I am preparing to open doors you didn't even know existed, doors that will lead to freedom from past regrets, restoration of lost dreams, and reconciliation of broken relationships. But these doors remain locked because you hold the key in your hand and have not yet turned it. And I am asking you to surrender your fears, your doubts, your what ifs to me so that I can replace them with peace, clarity, and boldness, because I have not called you to a life of mediocrity or stagnation. I have called you to soar on wings like eagles, to run and not grow weary, to walk and not faint. But that soaring requires release, release of the chains of indecision, release of the false security you cling to, release of the need to control every outcome. For control is an illusion and surrender is freedom. And I am the God who orders your steps, who turns the chaos of confusion into a clear path of purpose. And when you choose to trust me, even if the road looks uncertain, you will discover that I am already there, making a way where there seems to be no way, providing what you lack, and equipping you for every challenge ahead. And yes, the enemy will whisper louder. He will attempt to deceive you with false promises of safety if you just wait longer. But resist him. Stand firm in the truth that my timing is perfect and my plans for you are to prosper and not to harm, to give you a future and a hope. And though it may feel risky, though the unknown may cause your heart to tremble, the risk of staying where you are is far greater, for it steals your joy, stunts your growth, and delays the manifestation of the destiny I have placed inside you. So now is the time to rise up with courage, to take that step, to say yes even when your legs feel weak and your heart is trembling. Because I am with you, I am for you, and I will never leave you nor forsake you. And when you choose obedience over fear, you invite my supernatural favor. my peace that surpasses understanding, and my provision that is always more than enough. And remember, this decision will not only transform your own life, but will become a testimony that inspires others who face their own battles of hesitation, because your courage will be a light shining in the darkness, a beacon of hope that tells the world that faith in me is greater than any fear. And I am calling you now, beloved, to unlock the door. That keeps you bound, to step into the destiny that awaits, to trust that what I have prepared is worth every sacrifice and every step of faith. And when you do, you will look back and see that what you thought was loss was actually gain. What you thought was delay was actually divine preparation. And what you thought was the end was actually a glorious new beginning. So lean into me now, surrender fully, and watch how I turn your obedience into abundant blessings that overflow beyond what you can imagine. Beloved child, I see you replaying every scenario in your mind as though by overthinking you could somehow control the outcome. But let me remind you that fear masquerading as wisdom is not discernment. It is a tactic of the enemy to paralyze you, to keep you circling the same mountain instead of crossing over into your promised land. Because what you don't yet realize is that the longer you delay this choice, the heavier the weight becomes. And though I have been patient, speaking softly to your heart, there comes a moment where faith requires action, and the door that remains open now will not stay open forever. For time is not something to squander, and your destiny is time-sensitive, tethered to divine alignments that I have orchestrated in ways far beyond your comprehension. And I am pleading with you to see that this is not about your comfort. It is about your calling, about lives that will be touched and chains that will be broken through your yes, and while you wait for every detail to be perfect. Heaven is waiting for you to trust me with the imperfect, because I don't need your perfection to fulfill my promises. I need your surrender. I need your willingness to take that trembling step so I can meet you with my strength, my provision, and my supernatural favor. And I know you fear losing what little you have if you step out. But child, have you not yet seen that I am the God who multiplies loaves and fishes, who parts seas, who calls water from rocks, who makes a way where there is no way? And what you think you are clinging to for security is nothing compared to what I am holding for you in my hand. Yet I will not force it into your life, for love demands freedom, and faith requires choice, and I am not angry with you for your hesitation, but I long for you to experience the joy of partnership with me, of seeing what I can do when you finally stop trying to control everything and allow me to write the story I planned before you were even born. And I know the voices around you make it harder, the ones telling you to wait, to reconsider, to hold back out of fear of judgment, failure, or rejection. But I ask you now, are you listening more to them than to me? Are you forgetting that my sheep know my voice, that when I speak, peace follows even if the path looks uncertain? And though I won't always give you the entire map, I will give you just enough light for the next step. And in taking it, you'll discover I've already gone before you, preparing divine connections, unexpected provision, and strength you didn't know you had. Because this decision is not just a decision, it is a catalyst, a turning point that will break cycles of delay, unlock new seasons, and set in motion blessings that generations after you will experience. But child, if you stay where you are, you're choosing stagnation over growth, fear over faith, and that is not the life I died to give you. So I'm sending this message as one last gentle nudge. No, not to scare you, but to remind you that my plans for you are to prosper and not to harm, to give you a future and a hope. And yes, I see the what-ifs swirling in your mind, but instead of rehearsing the worst case scenario, begin declaring the best case outcome. Speak life where the enemy has whispered death. Speak faith where he has sown fear, for the power of life and death is in your tongue. And as you align your words with my promises, you will see chains fall and doors open that you thought were sealed shut. And I want you to realize, too, that this choice is not just about you. It's about those connected to your obedience, those who are waiting unknowingly for you to step into position so that my glory can flow through your life and touch theirs. And yes, child, it is heavy. I know it feels too big for you, but it is not too big for me, for I am the God who calls things that are not as though they were, and I will equip you, uphold you, and walk with you every step. And even when you stumble, I will steady you, for I am not watching for your perfection, but for your faith. And as you rise, as you take that step, heaven will move on your behalf in ways that will make sense only in hindsight. And you will testify, I didn't know how it would happen, but God did it, because I am faithful to complete what I started in you, and I will not let your story end in disappointment. So trust me, beloved, and take the step your future self will thank you for, because obedience today creates breakthroughs tomorrow. And your yes in this season will unlock blessings so great that even your enemies will have to acknowledge my hand upon your life. Beloved, I see the tears you cry in secret, the restless nights where your mind is pulled in 1,000 directions, wondering if you'll ever find the clarity and peace you've been seeking. But I need you to understand that clarity does not always come before the step of faith, for I am a God who calls you to walk by faith and not by sight. And it is in the walking that the fog will lift, in the obedience that understanding will come. Because while you wait for every answer to line up, the enemy uses delay to sow seeds of doubt and fear, whispering lies that you're unprepared, unworthy, or incapable. Yet I am standing here in the silence between your questions, speaking to your spirit, and reminding you that my strength is made perfect in your weakness, that I chose you knowing every flaw, every hesitation, every moment of uncertainty, and still I declared you worthy of this assignment, because I do not call the qualified. I qualify the called. And this choice that feels so heavy right now is not about forcing you into discomfort, but about unlocking a door that has been waiting for you to step through, a door that leads to the life you've prayed for in whispers, the breakthroughs you've journaled about, and the promises I spoke over you long before you were formed in your mother's womb. And while the enemy has tried to convince you that staying in this place is safer, that avoidance equals protection, I am here to tell you that the true danger lies in refusing to move. Because the enemy does not fear your intentions, your plans, or your wishes. He fears your obedience, your yes, your bold step into the unknown. For he knows that once you align your will with mine, the chains he wrapped around your destiny will shatter. The curses spoken over your family line will break, and the generational blessings I stored up for you will begin to flow like rivers in the desert. And child, I know you're asking, but what if I fail? Yet I ask you in return, what if you fly? For you are not stepping out alone. I go before you, behind you, and beside you, surrounding you with my presence so completely that even your enemies will tremble at the sight of my hand on your life. And I know it feels unfair to be asked to trust so much when the pain of past disappointment still lingers in your heart. But can I remind you that I am not like those who hurt you, not like the ones who broke their word and left you questioning your value. For I am faithful and true, and my plans for you are not fragile. They are fortified, unshakable, and unstoppable when you walk with me. So release your grip on what I've asked you to let go. Stop rehearsing the pain of what might go wrong, and begin rehearsing my word. For I said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I said, I will perfect all that concerns you. I said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and I do not speak idle words. I speak living words that create, sustain, and transform. And right now, I'm speaking over you life, victory, and restoration, declaring that what you lost will return pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That what the enemy meant for harm, I will turn for your good, and that the very thing that brought you to your knees in despair will soon be the platform where you stand in praise, testifying of my goodness to all who doubted. And child, I know it's hard to believe when your eyes see delay and your heart feels weary. But trust me when I say this delay was never denial. It was divine redirection, a sacred pause where I worked behind the scenes, shifting people, circumstances, and opportunities so that when you step forward, you will walk into a prepared place. A table set in the presence of your enemies. A season where doors will open not because you forced them, but because I unlocked them. And you will realize that I didn't need your strength or your striving. I only needed your yes. And as you give it, heaven will respond. Angels will be dispatched. And every force that came against you will be scattered in 7 directions. For no power in hell can override my word. And you, beloved, are not just surviving this season. You are being positioned for the greatest comeback of your life. And the people who once pitted you will see you rise in joy, in peace, in abundance. And they will know it was I, the Lord your God, who did this for you. Because I delight in showing my glory through vessels who trust me even when they cannot trace me. So take the step, release the fear, and watch as I transform your hesitation into acceleration, your questions into answers, your waiting into a witness that my timing is perfect and my love never fails.